Welcome to the Seven Figure Builder Show. My name is Julie Baranek, founder of Seven Figure Builder, where we help high-achieving CEOs connect with their dream clients to scale to seven figures and beyond. And I'm here today with my friend Jo Bendle. Hey, Jo.
Hello.
How are you today?
I'm very good. I'm always excited and intrigued to see where the conversation goes.
Absolutely, as am
Yeah.
I. So, first and foremost, where in the world are you?
I'm in Spain.
Very nice. I love chatting
Yeah.
with people all around the world. It's so fun.
Where are you?
I am in the US in Maryland.
Okay. Right.
Yes. Yeah. And for those that haven't had the pleasure to meet you, can you tell us a bit about your business?
Sure. Yeah. So I'm Jo Bendle, and I have been in business for 11 years. And actually the story about where are you based is quite relevant to my business, because I had a goal to work from anywhere in the world. I'm from the UK. And so I took myself off and became like completely location independent for 3 years until I decided I think I'm ready for a base again. Where in the world will it be? Ended up buying a house in Spain. And so
Wow.
that's why I'm in Spain. But yeah, I'm a online business strategist and a business energizer and the founder of the Meant for More movement. And so I work with mainly online business owners, but specifically service-based business owners who know they're meant for more, and support them using the Meant for More methodology to get more time, more money, more joy in their business.
I love that. And we focus a lot here on the show of how to work smarter, not harder. So I'm excited to hear more about
Perfect.
your program. But
Yeah.
tell us about, Meant for More. What was the evolution of that, and what does that
Oh,
look like today?
yeah, that's been quite an evolution, actually. It's so funny. It's so interesting. I think it's really important for everybody to remember that, especially when you're in the first couple of years, is that just trust the process. It might look messy, and what you're doing right now is just a stepping stone to where you're going to get to. Because if I look back now on my business, it's completely different. I started my business as a VA. And then I was a productivity coach, and for many years was teaching entrepreneurs how to, basically work smarter, not harder. Um, and then it kind of evolved, because I realized, well, look, everybody I help who buys a planner or teach some productivity tools, me included, I've always been my biggest case study, is still getting in our own way. Like there's still something stopping us. Like we're procrastinating for a reason. And so this has just been like the evolution of the brand. And Meant for More land. So it's just as I've grown and as I've like chased my dreams, achieved them, got bigger ones, chased those, then it's just the brand has kept evolving. And then Meant for More land, and it was just like, I've always felt like, oh my God, like I don't fit in. Like, why is everybody okay with mediocre and average, and this like, like this life of just like plodding along? And I was always constantly like, is this it? Surely there's more. And then it just became like part of the brand around Meant for More. And I think those of us that resonate with it know, don't we? Deep down, we're like, yeah, I want more. And it's down to us to give it, to give ourselves that. And of course, that wild journey then takes us on. What do we need? Well, who do we need to be? How do we need to show up? Like, what actions do we take? Like, what about this mind that's wild and wants us to stay right where we are? So it's funny, because I say my business has been built by basically the energy of just a girl going after her dreams, figuring it out. And whenever I remember that, whenever I sit in that energy, my business thrives. Whenever I come out of it and try and fit myself into like a strategy, then like it just like the creativity goes. And so it's really just all come about by me saying, right, what's going on for me, like talking about it. And then the movement has grown and it's all global. And there's different different things now. The business has got all these different things. I host retreats in Spain, and that's just been like another level up. And so that's an overview.
I love it. And I love that you mentioned that you're your biggest case study. Like, I think that's so important to take our learnings and constantly improve. And that's like my IT mind. Like, that's just how I work, is continual improvement. But I think the more we can learn from what we do, and the more we can grow from what we've learned, the more we can help other people that are in that same process and growing that same way.
Absolutely. Yeah, it's so true. I'm just like, hang on. I mean, like the whole point of when I first started being fully nomadic and traveling, like obviously, like a lot of us had the goal of freedom. I want more freedom. I started my business, so I wanted freedom, you know, all of that stuff. And what I learned was, oh my gosh, like I have all this time freedom. Like I really had an amazing, I was running a membership. So I'd really created the business model for freedom. I had time freedom. I had location freedom. I didn't have financial freedom. And so I was like, right, okay, what is going on? And that is when I had to get really serious about like my habits, my schedule, all of that stuff, because I was like, again, like a lot of us, was just, don't give me a strict structure. I've left corporate because I don't want to be like Monday to Friday, this, that, and the other. This gives me tingles when I start talking about it, because it's like, oh my goodness, remembering that version of me who was like really resisting structure and routine. And then I learned, okay, freedom comes through discipline. And that's when I really started to get clear about the more structure I give myself, the more freedom I have. There was a habit. I love a quote for like sharing something, and one of them was back years ago was like, people do not decide their futures; they decide their habits, and their habits decide their future. And I was like, oh my god, right? So then I'm like, what are my habits going to allow me to create the financial freedom as well? And so then I just like learned, you know, like really got clear. Well, you know, practiced like, how can I be more efficient with my time? And then realized, oh, you know, my mind is like freaking out, not good enough, or full of self-doubt, etc. So even if I have a schedule, I ain't going to stick to it. You know, it's like, and so that was all this journey of like, I basically was helping people with productivity and mindset, because if you don't bring in the internal stuff around like, well, why am I procrastinating? Why am I stuck in perfectionism? The productivity tools don't work. Right. And so that was like a big part of what grew my business. And then it kind of just, leveled up from there around helping people in a bigger way. But that is still a really big part of what we do together.
Absolutely. And with that, what are the biggest gaps that you see your clients have, or that you've had yourself and had to overcome?
I think the biggest one is the mindset, because I think to start with, and maybe people don't even realize it until we like highlight it. So think about procrastination, perfectionism, having too many ideas, working on the safe task, you know, not the income generating tasks, not making decisions. Like all of these things are what I call productivity blocks. They're the things that stop us from having to take action, because taking action is so scary. Like, because what happens if it doesn't work? Or what happens if it does and I can't control, you know, I can't cope with it. And so the way that we kind of sabotage ourselves, or you know, we've called it playing small online, but the reality is it's self-protection. Like our brain is protecting us. And so when I look at it like that, or when I share to my clients, you know, this is self-protection. So then we always have a choice. Okay, now I know what's happening. I can decide. It's all right, you know, like treat our mind, you know, like we all give our minds a name. So my mind is called Cecil. It's like, it's okay. Cecil's freaking out. Yeah, exactly.
I love it.
We can't like take it seriously. Cecil is freaking out. So, you know, and then it, you know, like all that. So that's one thing, is I think it's just probably the biggest gap is we are leaving our minds unsupervised. Now, the more that we stop and check in and be like, what is the story that my mind is telling me at the moment? And then we've got a choice then around, okay, that's why I've got resistance to this project, because it feels big, it feels scary, and maybe don't feel good enough. And so I would say that's one of the big things, is that people aren't doing enough of. And of course, the obvious one is around, productivity and schedule, and saying, no, I want freedom. I don't want structure, and being like, but actually just bringing in an element of structure is what creates the freedom, but it also is so much calmer. And one of the tools that I will leave with you guys with is like this weekly CEO day. It's like the weekly planning day. And it literally changed everything for me, because it was just one thing I need to do every single week, which sets up the next week. When am I working? What am I working on? When am I playing? When am I moving my body? But also, like, what's the thing that I want to be, what's the 7-day goal that I want to be celebrating in the next 7 days? So if I'm just taking care of my weeks, because I know what the months and the quarterly goals are, like if I'm taking care of my weeks and really checking in on what's the mind doing, what's the, you know, all that stuff, then that has been probably it's like, I call it my secret weapon, because it's just this thing that allows me to feel calm, in control. Like when I'm not making decisions ahead of time, I'm freaking out and I'm like, it feels chaotic.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I don't know if I answered the question there, but yeah.
No, it does. And it brings a lot of, like you said, calm and structure because of the structure, right? You've got, you know what to do to achieve the goals that you want to, go to next. So I love that a lot. And how have you learned through your business to work smarter, not harder? Like, how have you seen that play out in your business?
It's just been complete trial and error. Like, I created right. So as the business has evolved, my mantras, or my like sort of like mission statements that I give myself, have changed. So right in the early days, it was like imperfect action is better than no action, because I was not taking action. And I literally had it on a post-it note. And I remember, like, I did my first like 5-day challenge. It was about 8 or 9 years ago. And I was just like, no, like and then I grew my business from that. Like and that became like this mantra that I kept with me. And now it's become such a default for me. And again, our minds just need repetition. So things go wrong for me. I'm really imperfect. I have a lot of self-doubt. I show up imperfectly. But because I've got this thing around imperfect action is better than no action, as long as somebody hears what I'm saying and gets what they need, it's good. So that really helped me for a really long time. And then it evolved into like treating everything like an experiment, because I was like, okay, right, it's just an experiment. Because it just took the pressure of it having to work and it having to be right. Like, this experiment will give me some data and some factual evidence that I can either go that way or that way or that way on. And so then it's just, even now with things that are really, because of course it still remains uncomfortable, even if we've done it before. It's like, but every new project that's stretching me, it's an experiment. Let's treat it like an experiment. Let's see what we learn from it. It kind of just makes it a little bit easier for me. So it's almost like I just make these little deals with myself. Yeah.
Yeah. Which takes the pressure off.
Yeah.
And I love that, imperfect action is better than no action. I always remind myself that people don't know what I was intending, meaning like I have it all mapped out in my head and I could get stuck in all the details to make it perfect before I go out, but nobody knows what that looks like other than me. So like, if I just go out, they're going to think that's what I was intending.
Yes, exactly. And I think that the other thing is like, when we are driven by something that we really care about, like most of us are doing a business that we feel passionate about, like we want to make an impact, we care. And I think when you can bring it back to like, but why? Like, even this is a really good point as well. Instead of it just being like, but why for the business or the project or the offer, it's every single thing on your to-do list. What's the why behind that? What is its purpose in my bigger, plan? Because 80-20 rule, like 20% of our efforts are going to bring in 80% of our results. Why is there so much stuff on that list that has got no why? It's just on there. Like, we don't, ticking things off a to-do list isn't how we grow, right? Yeah.
Absolutely. No, and it's important to really focus on the things that make an impact rather than just busyness. I think we get so programmed on just busyness, like I need to just stay busy and then I feel productive, when
we do. And I think that's what we all do wrong, isn't it? It's like, if I'm busy, well, we were taught in society, basically, the busier I am, the more successful I'll be. And now we've all kind of learned that we're trying to get rid of all this conditioning and be like, oh, actually it's fine to work 4 days a week, or whatever our goals are, and still be successful. And one of the things that I just talk about this because it's on my mind a lot at the moment, because I just taken my community through it, was this interim mission statement concept, and it's working for me a lot, which is why I'm excited by it. So the interim mission statement is exactly that. Like, it's for now. Instead of us being like, what's the mission statement, it doesn't have to be like this big, oh my god, what's my purpose, right? Right now, what is the interim mission for my business? And I remember when we first went into the pandemic, and I just said, right, my mission right now is to make sure all of my clients come out better than when they went in. And you know what? I showed up. Like, the content that came out of me, the workshops, everything, I showed up for it. And my clients' businesses were then like growing in income. And it was just like, right, that fired me up. Of course, that was an interim thing. And then it changed. And then I got a different one. And right now, I'm like really like diving into my business, and like some of the offers are retiring, some are like leveling up, some new ones are coming, and it's all stemming from the mission around the Meant for More movement. And that is what gets me excited. And I share that with you because excuse me, there's a couple of things. One is, suddenly, like, you get laser focused on what you need to like what's important, what's enabling that mission, and what's harming it. And it's not, again, it doesn't even have to be a public marketing thing. It's just what activates you, what motivates you. And it might be personal. Like, when I started my business, of course, my mission statement was, I want freedom. And so it was all about me, and before it became about everyone else, excuse me. And so what happens is you can maybe like write down 5 or 10 potential interim mission statements and notice like, how does it feel? Like, how does that feel? How does that feel? And of course, the next thing is your mind is going to go, who are you to think that you can do that? Right. And so then what I then say is like, write down all of the stuff that your mind is saying about, like, I'm not good enough, I'm not qualified enough, I can't do this, like, I can't pull this off, and write it all down. And then, you start, there's loads of different things that you can do with that. But for me, I've just found it really empowering to get reconnected to my business and my goals and my dreams. And then being like, asking myself on a monthly basis, like, what action do I need to take to like move towards the mission, basically.
I love that.
That was a tangent. I think it's useful because it's exciting me.
Yeah, definitely. Well, and that's huge in and of itself, is when you reconnect to what excites you, then that's the energy that comes out, and that's what feeds you, right? And then you're that much more impactful for your clients. So it's huge.
Yeah. And I think that this is all stemmed from, I personally feel like I've been sat in this post-pandemic hangover. It's like, I was like sluggish, like not, like there was just no drive. And I thought, and that's how I've got myself re-fired up again, which is, something that I'm really good at pulling big dreams out of people and myself. But it was just, we've been in this sluggish place, and it's like, right, okay, right, what does it need? Right, you need to be your own client. You need to put yourself through your own framework, right? Yeah. Which is just what I've had to do all the time. Every time I'm journaling about anything in the last 10 years around, why am I getting in my own way? Oh, I'm playing small. What do I need to do? Follow your own principles, Jo.
Listen to yourself.
Yeah.
Yes, definitely. And as you're going through that process, how do you know what is working for you, what needs to be refined, like what your business needs next?
I think it is that weekly date that I talked about, is like really just taking stopping what's working, what's not working, how do I feel? Like, am I clear what I'm working on? Do I know why? Like, just really just keep checking in. I think that the most successful entrepreneurs are the ones that stop and reflect and review and look, like there's things that they do differently. They probably take more action because they're failing faster, but they also review and reflect and, like, really, I think it's such an important step, whether you do it 5 minutes at the end of every day or 20 minutes at the end of the week. You can do bigger ones, but like ultimately, like the more often we are keeping connected to where we're heading and what's going on, like the more we can catch ourselves going off track or, going off on different random directions. Yeah.
And I love what you mentioned, the concept of failing faster. Like, that is something that, again, from my IT world, you're better off to put imperfect action out there, trial it, test it, see if it's working. And if not, stop it. Do something else.
The quicker you find out, the quicker you know. And it's like, we all know, don't we, now, like there's no such thing as failure, really. It's just data. It's like information. But of course, you got to, once you can get your head around the way that you look at these things, it's always about, everything in our businesses is always about, what's a different way that I can look at this? What's a different perspective? I just think like the faster I try something, the quicker I learn, the quicker I find out, or, I get evidence or not,
Yeah, definitely. And you've accomplished a ton through your career, personal, professionally, all the above. But how do you define success? What does that look like for you?
I think it still really comes back to, well, one, am I enjoying it? Am I still enjoying it? Do I still love what I'm doing? And does it still feel great? Like my business is built on my values, which of course I had no idea about when I started. But like now, I'm somebody who gets energized by other people. So of course there's things in my diary that allows me to connect with them. And if I remove myself too much, I feel disconnected, so there's that's an element of knowing, like, how do I feel? But really, success for me is about, like, do I get to choose what my schedule looks like, when I work, where I work, how I work? Have I got more money than I need? Those are the things. And another thing is that I've noticed is that I am just somebody who feels better when I have something to work towards, which is why I do love having a goal, Yeah.
Definitely. Which, to that, what can people expect from you next? I know you're in a constant evolution, but what is up and coming for you?
Well, it's all geared around, talking about the mission statement, is around the Meant for More movement. And the main part of that is my signature program, which is called Meant for More Immersion, like that has had like this whole makeover upgrade and is like the main thing. I'm just like really proud of it. It's been like, it's the evolution of all the programs and all of my experience. And so that's how I get in and help people. And that's specifically for existing business owners. But then there's like there's different parts of it. Anyway, the question is, the answer is, which I feel really uncomfortable to say, is like, it's the book. I've got to write the freaking book.
Nice.
And I'm trying to write a book because I know that will be like enable more of them, like that will enable the mission of them growing the movement. And the working title for the book, whether it actually stays that is, This Might Hurt, because I just, like the reality is it's really, really challenging and uncomfortable going after your dreams.
Yeah, no, I love that. And I'm excited to see it coming out
Thank you.
it's going through the evolution. That's awesome.
Yeah.
Congratulations.
Oh, we'll see.
Yeah. Well, and to that note, so as you're writing your book, you're pulling your message together. But if you had the attention of the whole world for 5 minutes, what would you tell them?
I think right now I'd be like, this whole post-pandemic hangover where we maybe couldn't live full out, and then the pandemic ended and we didn't get our dreams back off the shelf and dust them off. So it feels like we're coming into dreaming again and asking ourselves, what am I meant for? What is my more? And so this is the message to all of you who've got dreams, but you're ignoring them. Like, it's time to live our lives with everything we've got. We only get one shot. What are we waiting for? What permission do we need to give ourselves to finally say, this is actually what I want and I deserve it, and I am absolutely meant for more?
I love that. I love that. Thank you so much. And where can people find you online? How can they come check out your program and the up and coming book and all the exciting things?
Yeah, sure. On? Well, so jobendle.com is my website. And in fact, if you go jobendle.com/secret weapon, then you can grab all of the tools around the workbook and everything for the weekly system that I talk about. But Instagram is where I'm most active. So I'm really very active on my stories and sharing what's working, what's not working. And that's Jo_Bendle.
Awesome. And we'll have all the notes and links down below so everyone can come check you out. And thank you, Jo, for being on today. This was a lot of fun.
Oh, thanks for having me. So cool to chat.
Yeah, absolutely. And if you found value in this episode, please do share it. That's how people find us. And you can find me at sevenfigurebuilder.com. And I look forward to seeing you on the next episode.